I guess on this episode of Not Rod, we almost succeed at getting this engine running and introduce a new project car.
Yeah. Whoa!
It does roll, believe it or not, and it actually steers too, which is the real surprising thing. That wide stance in the back is so badass. You know, it's weird though. Look at this side, and then look at this side.
Yeah, it may not be centered in there.
That is some fine craftsmanship right there. Hey everybody, we got a new toy. It's a 1969 AMC Javelin, which we have aptly named the Jalopin because it's a complete piece of crap. But aside from that, it's super badass. I mean, it's a factory big bad green car. It's got a moon roof on top, and somebody even installed a spoiler on the trunk. It also came with a Ford 390 FE motor and a C6 transmission that looks like somebody tried to install it in this thing because they cut a huge hole in the floor for that massive transmission. And the real cool part is, you guys bought this. That's right, we took some of the proceeds that we got from YouTube and dropped it on this. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy now. Audience buys car to entertain audience. There is one big drawback though. It doesn't have a title. But I got it with some pretty official looking paperwork from the wrecking yard that it came from and a bill of sale. And after taking that stuff to the Department of Licensing, they signed off on all the paperwork I had. So it looks like we can take this thing through Washington State Patrol and get it registered. However, one of the requirements before you can take it through inspection is that all the running gear has to be bolted in place, as well as the bumper, the grille, and the hood. So we've got a little bit of work to do before we can actually run this thing through inspection. So we are taking a little bit of a risk by not getting the title with it, but if everything goes the way it should, we've yet again rescued another really cool muscle car from the crusher. And anytime you can do that, that's a really great thing, and it's always a noble goal. And besides that, if we can't get it registered, we can always turn it into like a cool dirt track car or something that's just purely off-road or something like that. So the first thing we're going to do is pull the FE motor out and see if we can get it running, and then that'll give us a little more information on if we want to try to do what the guy was doing originally with this thing by trying to get it going with the 390, or if maybe we want to try to find like an actual AMC motor for it or something.
Oh, that's a cool dashboard,
yeah,
isn't it?
That's sweet. Yeah.
That's super cool.
I don't care that it's broken in half if you don't. We can cobble it back in there.
Yeah.
Here's the other side to the dash.
Ooh, what is this? Is this the bottom window trim?
Looks like. Nice. There we go. Car is complete.
Sweet. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we got
spray wax. We better wax this bitch.
We better wax it.
Wow, talk about a bucket seat.
Yeah, no kidding. A little bit of hantavirus action going on, probably. 390 distributor, and it's already got a solid state module in it. Oh, a ratchet strap. That makes it well worth the $750.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Oh, it spins.
It spins.
Sweet, we'll be able to get this thing running.
Yep.
Yeah, hell yeah. Sweet. It's a little A little stiff in some of those spots, but if it spins that far, I think we can get it running. It might have a little bit of rust at the top of one of the cylinders, maybe. I think the top of one of the cylinders has some rust, but I think we can make it run. Just a little mixture of ATF and gasoline. It's the secret weapon for a little bit of diesel. Secret weapon for freeing a motor up.
So now we just gotta hope though that whoever buys the motor doesn't watch the show.
Exactly. Yeah. Well.
Woo! That was a lot.
Whoopsies. You know, I think between ATF, diesel, gasoline, and then maybe some motor oil a little later, we should be able to free this thing up. I feel the rust, but it's going through it better now.
Yeah?
It feels like. Oh yeah, it's definitely trying to go through it. Oh yeah, there it goes. Puking some water out now. Yeah, this sucker will run. We've got a 390, my friend. Man, these fenders go on so good. They practically install themselves. Front probably will need some shims to pull it up a little bit, but yeah.
Didn't need to go on.
Well, it could be the door too. Well, no, because the rocker panel's a little off, so close enough for how we roll. And honestly, even if the door doesn't open, I can just freaking Dukes of Hazzard this bitch. Yeah, that'll be sweet. Never mind. Oh, look at that. Oh, the door. Nice. See if that door is a little easier. Look at that. Well, is it closing all the way?
That's actually probably where it's supposed to be because they're stripping.
Well, now it doesn't get stuck at all.
Doesn't get stuck at all.
That's cool. All right, nice. Fixed. Man, we're fixing everything on this thing. I mean, I feel like it's at least 50% better than when we dropped it on the ground. I mean, it's got a spinning engine. That window works. That door doesn't get stuck. Hell, we could just declare victory right now.
Yeah, that's good. I think we ought to try this thing on for size.
Yeah, we probably should. You're right. I don't know if they're the right seats or not, but...
Oh, they're not. They got some shit.
Some weird stuff welded to them, yeah.
Yeah, they're not the right ones, but...
I think they'd work, though. You know, and so, yeah, maybe that door's tweaked, I don't know. It makes sense as to why the hinges don't feel quite right. It actually seems better than it was, though. Just kind of need to twist the door a little, maybe.
Yeah.
But as long as it lines up with a fender that's barely got any bolts in it, that's...
So the matter.
That we spent absolutely no time getting, you know, straight to the frame.
Yeah.
Stowed away for the evening.
Oh, that seal already took a shit on me. God.
Might just be cold and hard.
Yeah.
That's actually why the Challenger space shuttle blew up in 1986.
Oh, really? It got so cold?
They launched it too early in the morning and it was cold in the winter, and one of the seals was all hardened up from being too cold. Caused a fuel leak and kaboom. I mean, I would expect such a thing on our show, But come on, that was NASA.
But NASA?
Yeah, it's loose.
It's wedging up against something.
Jeez, how the hell did they get in? Yeah, I think it's just the fact that the oil pan is bound up on the cross member.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me.
It's wedged in there. How'd they get it in there?
I don't know, man. They really, yeah, they really like shoved it in there somehow.
Well, I'm wondering if we just lift it high enough, maybe.
There it goes.
Okay, now try and lift up the back.
I mean, it's in the air.
It's in the air.
So if we can get it over this little cross member dealie. There we go. We're out. Hold it!
It's a little sketchy, but I've got a bunch of 3-inch angle or 3-inch channel. We could put a 3-inch channel piece across and then 3-inch channel coming up at the same angle as the motor mounts.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just weld a cap on the ends of that channel, drill a hole in the middle, and then those can go up into the motor mount bolts, and then you can thread them on from the backside.
Yeah, because it doesn't need much, because it only needs something side to side. It's sitting on the, you know, transmission and everything
Transmission
this way,
can sit on the ground.
Yeah.
We just need something
Side to side is all.
Something side to side so that when we goose it, it doesn't tip over.
Yeah.
Although, that might be funny.
Could be funny.
Or it could be dangerous.
You know, I really dig the style of the guys that were putting this engine in the car, because it's like, just shove it in there with half a driveline connected.
Just ram it in there.
Just ram it in there.
Yeah.
And we'll make a little bit cleaner of a cut on this thing so I can actually get the hose on it. There it goes. Boom.
Yeah, okay. Just in case it falls off, maybe I'll put a block underneath here.
Okay, so on a 390, this here is the oil pump drive shaft. And that goes into the end of the distributor here, and then this goes down, and then the oil pump is like right here, and that's how you drive the oil pump. A lot of people say the way that you should put this in is take like a piece of fuel hose and stick it on the end of this, and then you can get it down in there, and then get it engaged into the oil pump, and then you can stick the distributor down in the hole, and then it'll come on here, because you just can't get your fingers down in there to put this in with your fingers, or even a pair of needle nose pliers won't even fit in there. However, then if you go and pull the distributor back out, this shaft can actually pull out of the oil pump just far enough that it then falls off and down into the oil pan, which is not good. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and tack weld it to the end of the distributor right here. And I know people are going to say, well, then you can screw up the bearings in the oil pump and all that because it needs to have a little bit of give, but you know what, whatever. So when you pull the dipstick out, it is pure water. So we definitely want to drain it out and refill it with oil. Oh, it actually spins now.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was supposed to have a little resistance.
It's good enough to me.
We do need to get it on the compression stroke on number 1.
Before we start doing wires.
That guy on a Ford, I believe.
1 is always the furthest forward.
The furthest one. So that one on a Ford.
But now Ford is
1, 2, 3, 4,
5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
But then if you were to actually number the cylinders the same way Chevy does, the firing order is actually the same as a Chevy. Because there's only so many combinations, you know.
There's only a couple you can really use, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably drain the water out of it, I suppose.
Oh, it's all water.
Oh my goodness. We could just drain it on the ground.
Yeah, we could have. That's clean water.
Not a drop of oil so far.
Here comes the sludge. No, it doesn't even have any sludge in it. It's just all water.
That's promising.
Yeah, this thing's gonna run like a top.
Oh yeah.
Well, that seems like all the lubrication that's in it. So we'll just go ahead and.
Oh man.
Anybody interested in buying a 390 out there?
Yeah. No low balls. We know what we got.
Yeah, no low ballers. We know what we got.
Actually, we're not even sure that this is a 390.
No, I mean, it could be a 360 or even a 352 for all we know. It's funny, though, that every time a Ford truck goes up for sale that's got an FE motor, suddenly it's a 390.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at this point, it would appear that Ford produced about 3 times as many 390s as they actually did if you look on Craigslist. Probably should have just ran it like that.
Well, you know, the water's great for the bearings.
Yeah. Excellent lubrication. That's a miracle that thing even turns over. Yeah, we could maybe clean that out enough to use it.
Does it have a rotor?
I don't know where the rotor is, so we'll probably just have to pick one of those up. And we should have a coil laying around somewhere, right?
We got the old Mustang one sitting around somewhere, I think.
Yeah, that should work. Okay, why don't we swap out that carb then? And since this is basically an identical unit, we can drop right on there. And that should look perfect. Okay, so we need to get the starter on, we need to get an oil pressure gauge hooked up, and then we'll crank it to blow anything out through the spark plug holes that's in the combustion chambers. Sure you don't got any old drain oil we can just dump in this thing?
I looked, for the longest time I had kept some good drain oil out of the chute, but I can't find it.
So we don't really want to spend any money for oil on this thing. So Brandon found some drain oil out of his diesel truck, and we're actually just going to dump that in this thing, and it should be just fine. I mean, it's still good oil, really.
Good enough for what we need to do anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
There's going to be so much shit in the motor anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's really going to make that big of a difference, right? Any oil is better than nothing at this point.
Yeah.
We got carb on, we got starter on, we got oil in it, we've got an oil pressure gauge. So yeah, I gotta hook up a coil. Gonna have to pick up a cap and rotor and an oil filter. And then we can spin this thing over to get the combustion chambers cleared out of anything that's in there, hopefully. And then plugs wires, fire it off.
So I guess we want to figure out TDC. I'll just turn it over and you put your finger over the hole. Oh, we got some binding issues. Yeah, it's not spinning right.
The flywheel maybe hitting on the... Okay, I got some compression.
You got some?
Yeah. Okay, that should be good. That's just before top dead center.
Okay.
Dude, that's super cool about FE heads. You can actually peek down in there.
You can see the pistons?
piston,
yeah. Something's not right down inside that transmission. Something's dragging really bad.
Okay, where is it hitting?
Oh, none of the studs were in the flex plate.
Oh, they were just hitting on there.
No, we can just try and line the holes up.
Yeah, I don't think it needs nuts on the end of the bolts. We're not driving it, right?
Yeah.
So
I think we just need to line the bolts up. Well, maybe we can put one nut on it so that they all stay in.
yeah.
Because we could reach that one pretty easily.
There we go.
There, we still in? Yep.
Felt like it went pretty easy, so
Yep.
if one's in, they should all be in.
Ew. Well, we're gonna have to roll it around.
I wonder if that's the starter, because it didn't make that noise until I put the starter in.
Oh my goodness. The flex plate is so bent.
Oh, is that what it is? Well, maybe if we put all three nuts on.
Yeah, that'll straighten it out.
Yeah, so we'll have
Oh
to do
yeah,
that.
it's so bent. Like, I got one nut all the way cranked down, and then this one is like...
Not even showing the threads practically. Well, if we'd have pulled that torque converter out, we wouldn't have anything to sock that flex plate down to. So, and it didn't really matter that we already had this thing timed because this isn't the #1 cylinder. So we had to do it again anyway.
Good thinking there. All right, let's spin it around. I'll watch it on that starter this time. Oh my God.
I don't hear anything weird.
Yeah, it clears it, but it is way bent. I need to put I need to put all of them in.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's probably gonna not want to start right.
Okay. Got a screwdriver you don't care too much about? Is this sentimental in any way?
No. And we can see if maybe we can get a little oil pressure poking up.
Yeah. Need to get a better ground than that. Check and see what it drops to when we put
10, but
10.
that should still turn it over.
I think. Did we get a bad starter? Well, it stays up at the battery, but not at the cables.
So that means it's something to do with a bad connection somewhere.
Yeah.
Let me just try another set of cables. I think I got a different set. It spins, slow as...
Yeah. Oil pressure came up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. We're primed. Cool. Okay. Makes oil pressure. Awesome. Okay, let's get the ignition stuff set up and we can fire this thing.
I like the movement in that oil pressure needle.
Yeah, me too. That's very promising. It went up to 20 psi too.
Yeah. I mean, they did put the spark plugs in a pretty good spot though.
Yeah, they sure did. I don't know, FE motors are great. I love them.
Yeah.
And did you know that the 427 that was in the GT40 was actually an FE motor?
The 427 FE is also what they put in the Shelby Cobras, the like 66s.
Okay.
Good.
Screwdriver. Okay.
Just
Cranking
spinning
pretty slow.
And we almost need we need more voltage.
Yeah.
How many jumper cables can we squeeze on there?
It's definitely better.
I already see an oil leak on my little fitting here.
Let's check if we got spark. You got your meter? Whoa.
Yeah. Let me test it up at the coil.
Yeah.
12.24, 12.24 on the other side.
Okay, so we got power going through the coil. think it would have popped or something if it had spark at all.
I mean, it's not spinning very fast though either, so.
We could pull a plug and check spark real quick.
We'll try and roll it over, see if we get anything here.
Nothing, no spark. Yeah, I'm wondering if that module's bad. I mean, there really isn't anything you can like do to it, you know? Kind of is what it is. There's a way we can test the coil though.
You just put a wire in there and tap it to ground and watch it go kabang.
So if you've got power going to your positive side of your coil, you can take just any wire and go to the negative side. And if you touch it back and forth to a ground, you can see if you're getting spark out of your coil, which we are. I mean, it's not the best spark I've ever seen. But
no.
We also didn't have a very good ground here on this rust either, so. That's just gotta have a bad module in the distributor. Probably not gonna have daylight for too much longer. So why don't we just cover it up for the night, and I'll pick up a set of points on the way home and come back tomorrow. Okay, we're going old school today. Set of points, a condenser, and we're gonna replace this crappy solid state module that somebody put in it that I think is bad. And then we should be able to get some spark out of this thing. And this little magnetic pickup thing right here was just slipped right over the hex-shaped dealie there, and that's what gives a magnetic pickup to that, and that's gonna get tossed. So this will go right here between that hole and that hole. And then when this hex rotates, it's basically a cam, little camshaft here. When the lobe comes to the highest point, it opens up the points. When you open up the points, it collapses that circuit, and the magnetic field in the coil collapses and then goes to the secondary windings in there, which are connected to the spark plug wire here. And then it shoots a spark out. Condenser. It's even got the little stud for it there. Okay, and then the condenser wire hooks right here, and then we also need a wire coming from there that'll come out here to the coil. We could just chop this red wire and then just get rid of the black wire like that. Alright, so now we'll check our gap there on the points real quick. So we need to roll it over to the highest part of that lobe. And for now, we're just going to take a piece of this cardboard here and we'll just rip a chunk off it. And then this is what we'll use to check our gap. I'm supposed to use feeler gauges, but whatever. So now, rotor, cap. See if we can get a fire in the hole on this thing. Really hoping we're going to be celebrating a victory here. I think it burned through all that fuel.
Okay, let's put a little bit more in, we'll let it set.
It probably needs a lot of fuel. We got 40 pounds of oil pressure,
it jumped
so that's
up.
Good. Points for the win, though. We know it's trying, at least. Okay, ready for some more? Can we flood it that time?
I don't know, there's probably a lot of fuel in it now.
Hold it wide open, maybe? It's cranking so slow.
I know.
It's not even popping at all anymore.
Advance it some more, but it's gonna make it harder to start. Well, if we leave that power wire hooked up too much, it'll burn up the coil if we leave that power wire on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's already getting hot.
Hit it with some starting fluid, we'll see what happens. Alright, tried one. A little more starting fluid.
More starting fluid.
Yeah.
It's trying. That was not so bad.
Not bad. I keep getting sprayed in the arm with rust from the exhaust manifold every time it starts, but
whoa!
Maybe advance the timing now that we got it cranking fast enough.
It pops, but it doesn't really want to stay running.
Yeah, and it'll run for a second, but okay. Maybe a squirt of starting fluid and okay, good things. So close. Yeah, it runs for a second, but doesn't really like to run on gasoline.
No, it doesn't. Pull the plug out and see what this one's looking like. Oh my god.
Look at that freaking spark plug.
Make it some brake cleaner.
Yeah, that's not gonna
that
not
one's
gonna
not even
run.
firing.
We should probably pull all the plugs and just clean them all.
Clean them?
Yeah. All right, we're gonna pull all the spark plugs out and clean them, and we'll be right back to see if this thing will run.